Shining Bright Lotus.
Song of Zazen. Sentient beings are from the very beginning Buddhas. It is like ice and water. Apart from water, no ice can exist. Outside sentient beings, where do we find the Buddhas? Not knowing how near the truth is, we seek it far away. What a pity. We are like a person who in the midst of water cries in thirst so imploringly. We are like a child of a rich house who has wandered away among the poor. The cause of our circling through the six worlds is that we are on a dark path of ignorance, going astray further and further into the darkness. When are we able to be free from birth and death? As for the Zazen practice of the Mahayana, it is beyond all our praise. The virtues of perfection, such as charity, morality, and the invocation of the Buddha's name, confession and ascetic discipline, and many other good deeds of merit, all these return to this. Even those who have practiced meditation for just one sitting will see all their twisted karma erased. Nowhere will they find twisted paths, but the Pure Land will be near at hand. With a reverent heart, if we listen to this truth even once, and praise it and gladly embrace it, we will surely be blessed most infinitely. If we concentrate within and testify to the truth that self-nature is no nature, we have really gone beyond vain words. The gate of the oneness of cause and effect is open. The path of non-duality and true clarity runs straight ahead. To regard the form of no form as form, whether going or returning, we cannot be any place else. To regard the thought of no thought as thought, whether singing or dancing, we are the voice of the Dharma. How boundless the clear sky of Samadhi, how transparent the perfect moonlight of fourfold wisdom. At this moment, what more need we ask? What more need we seek? As the truth eternally reveals itself, this very place is the lotus paradise. This very body is the Buddha. So, if you ask people wiser than me, why do we recite the Song of Zazen before a Dharma talk or a Dharma reflection or before a Teisho, they'll probably tell you it's a safety precaution. If the talk is of no value, at least you've still benefited from hearing the wise words from Master Hakuin. Well, hopefully today my talk will be of some value to you. And today I'd like to speak about taking refuge. So, what does it mean to take refuge? Well, to take refuge is to find a safe place to go into a place for shelter or protection, to be safe from danger or trouble. For example, we might take refuge under a bridge in a hailstorm, or we might take refuge in a basement during a tornado. Now, the actual word itself, the word refuge, comes from a French word meaning to flee. And in most cases, a refuge is a place that we tend to flee to in order to get away from people or places that may cause us to feel in danger or unsafe. Now, there's many different ways that a person may take refuge. Maybe you flee from life's problems by taking refuge in alcohol. maybe in drugs or junk food. Maybe you flee from life's problems by taking refuge in pornography or maybe inappropriate sexual relationships. Now, all of these may give us short-term relief. They may give us short-term comfort. But in the long run, in the long term, they're going to end up causing us more harm than good. Now, in Buddhism, taking refuge signifies a formal commitment to the path of practice. We take refuge to seek guidance, to seek liberation from suffering. And we do this by turning to the Buddha, to the Dharma, and to the Sangha as our sources of support and as our source of wisdom for us. Now, depending on different Buddhist traditions, different schools of thought, taking refuge usually involves reciting something along the lines of, I take refuge in Buddha, I take refuge in Dharma, I take refuge in Sangha. And of course we call this the Three Refuges, or sometimes referred to as the Three Jewels: Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. So we take refuge in the Buddha, and of course we all know who he is. We take refuge in the Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha. And we take refuge in the Sangha, the community of like-minded people who may subscribe to the same practices or the same beliefs that we do. Now, if you look in the Hollow Bones Sutra book, or if you've taken Jukai, you'll know that Jumpo has worded our version of the Three Refuges quite differently. Now, he did this so they didn't actually appear obviously Buddhist, but at the same time he did it in a way that they would still convey the attributes of what makes a person Buddhist. So, for example, we recite, I take refuge in the absolute purity of this awakened mind. I take refuge in this practice of pure selfless awareness, wisdom, compassion, and skillful means. I take refuge in this awakening community and our realization in the truth of the interconnection, interpenetration, and interdependency of all sentient and insentient beings everywhere. So interestingly, there's no mention there of Buddha. There's no mention of Dharma. And there's a fleeting possible reference to Sangha. So what does Jumpo mean? What's he getting at here? Well, in the Pali Canon, if you look in the sutra of the Mahaparinibbana Sutra, the Buddha is dying. And there's different ways that this is translated, but the most popular translations are on the lines of, he says, be a lamp unto yourself, or be refuges unto yourself. Take yourself no external refuge, or sometimes translated as, look not for refuge to anyone besides yourselves. So in this teaching, just before his death, the Buddha's advising Ananda, and he's urging self-reliance, he's urging independent thinking, meaning to rely on your own wisdom and understanding rather than blindly following another person or persons or an external authority. Now, of course, our version of this is atta deepa. And of course, our sutra book reminds us, I am this light, pure selfless awareness. I rely upon selfless awareness. I do not rely upon concepts of self and others that appear. I do not depend upon beliefs, sensations, and emotions, which may arise and fall away. Meditative awareness, clear intention, acting wisely, compassionately, and skillfully are this practice. I rely upon this only. I rely upon this ceaselessly. Now, this wasn't a new teaching that suddenly came to the Buddha on his deathbed. He was teaching this message all his life. If you look at the Kalamara Sutra, the Buddha advises us there, do not trust teachers, teachings, or institutions. Trust only that is true in your own experience. So here lies our dilemma. If the Buddha himself is telling us, don't look outside of yourself when taking refuge, then why do we? Why do we look to the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha instead of looking inside of ourselves? Now there's two terms that are helpful to understand in Buddhism. And these are, again, I'm not sure the Pali or the Sanskrit term, but in Japanese we call them tariki and juriki. Now, tariki is other power. Putting my faith, putting my trust in a power greater than me. And juriki is self-power or own power. I will do the work. So when I say I take refuge in Buddha, what do I mean? Do I mean this chap? You know, we all know him. Am I saying that this guy who died 2,500 years ago can somehow save me from myself? Now this is tariki, faith in another power, a higher power outside of myself. Now again, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. I'm being simplistic here, but that's essentially the basis of Pure Land Buddhism. Faith that repeatedly reciting the name of Amitabha Buddha will help us obtain peace of mind in the present, but also attain rebirth in Amitabha Buddha's Western Pure Land. So I'm recognizing that I'm too weak to do it myself, so putting my faith in Amitabha Buddha, he will save me. Now, in Zen, we take the approach of juriki, or self-power, own power. I will do the work. I won't rely on others. I will do it. So this guy we know as the Buddha, of course, he had a real name. His name was Siddhartha Gautama. The word Buddha is simply a title. It means awakened one, or one who is awake. So as practitioners of Zen, becoming a Buddha is something we should all be looking to achieve. It should be our primary focus of practice. So when we recite, I take refuge in the absolute purity of this awakened mind, what we're saying is, I take refuge in the Buddha as an awakened state, not in the person, but in an awakened state. I take refuge in my own awakening. Juriki, I will do the work. So refuge starts with our own awakening, and then it moves into the teachings, the Dharma. I take refuge in this practice of pure selfless awareness, wisdom, compassion, and skillful means. So it's helpful to ask ourselves, what is the Dharma? What are the Buddhist teachings? Well, obviously, it's going to be the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, the Three Marks of Existence. It's definitely going to be the sutras that we study, the Heart Sutra, the Diamond Sutra, the Lankavatara, the Platform Sutra. All of these are incredibly important teachings that we should, as students of Zen, be studying regularly. But I would suggest that the Dharma can also be anything that provides us with the opportunity to point us towards our own awakening. Somebody cuts you up in traffic and gives you the finger. Somebody pushes in front of you at a checkout in a grocery store. A work colleague spreads untrue or hurtful gossip about you. All these situations are an opportunity to practice. They present us with a choice. An opportunity to respond with the wisdom of the teachings or through ignorance. And again, as Jumpo reminds us in the Mondo Manual, and I quote here, you must remember this truth. You must choose to live this truth. You must develop genuine insight. You must release your attachments to and change your understanding of the nature and structure of your temporary ego. Only you can take your seat. It will not be given to you. Again, Jumpo is pointing us towards Juriki, our own work. We have to do the work. So remember, Dharma gates are endless. Our entire life can be an opportunity to practice Dharma. And finally, Sangha. I take refuge in this awakening community and our realization in the truth of the interconnection, interpenetration, and interdependency of all sentient and insentient beings everywhere. So yes, Dharma is definitely all of us who meet at Shining Bright Lotus. But it's also the wider Zen community, Rinzai and Soto. And it's even the even wider Buddhist community of the Theravadins and the Vajrayanas and the Tibetan Buddhists. But is it more than that? If we truly understand the truth of the interconnection, interpenetration, and interdependency of all sentient and insentient beings everywhere, then Sangha has to be the entire world, even our so-called enemies. Maybe it's the entire universe. Who knows? Thank you.
Shining Bright Lotus.